Oh, I guess I should have thought about this. A funny story. Um, the story that I have in mind, I don't know if it's appropriate. But anyway, we used to laugh about my parents, um, I guess, being married as long as they've been married, seeing like the dynamic of like husband and wife type stuff. Because most of the time they're just mom and dad for us. But my mom used to always disappear around Christmas time for long amounts of time. And we all know now that that means she's shopping. But one day in particular, she came home after being gone for a very long time. And we were in the kitchen, and my dad was asking her where she had been. And she named some stores. And in the midst of that, you would have thought that the response would have been sufficient, but he said that store was closed. Which meant he had done his own investigating. I don't really remember how that story worked out, but I know it mattered that, they communicated about their whereabouts. But after this time, we just know now, but I guess back then it wasn't a given. So I don't remember him leaving to go investigate because it was, nighttime. But apparently that store was closed wherever she said that she went. It was a big deal.
Okay.
That's funny to me. It wasn't funny in the moment, but it's funny now. Um, my mom always did the, um, kind of nurturing. She was a nurturer. So, she takes care of people when they're sick and, fixes the plates and, prepares the table, prepares the meals. So she always, did that for my dad. When she would cook, someone would have the responsibility for bringing him his food because he'd be, back here sitting where he likes to sit. So, she always just bared that in mind. She didn't let us take all the food, before he ate, those types of things. And I admired that because, of course, in today's time, things like that are kind of just not as important, I guess, for some people. Um, my dad, they kind of took on those traditional roles. My dad was the fixer. He fixed things around the house. He fixed things. He fixed cars. Fixed things when they were broken. He washed cars, cuts grass. My mom's never done any of those types of manual things. Me being a single mom, I've done lots of those things. I'm a little jealous about that. But yeah, she's never had to do those things. She's always just been kind of covered and protected in that way. So I thought that that was nice. So those things that you would normally think were like, things that the husband should do or that the man should do, he did those things. Well, of course, I think that's amazing. Um, just imagining that if there's nothing that I've done in my life for 50 years, I'm 43. So just to think about the fact that they've been married alone for 50 years, it's just amazing. And of course, to see what's come out of it, which is our family. And I love our family so much. It's so valuable. And again, I guess I'm always just thinking about today's time in families. And our family is a traditional family. And it's just, it's like just one of the most important things in my life. And so I see my parents as the source of that. And so they're connected. Their marriage, these 50 years, is connected to like literally one of the most stabilizing things in my life. So I think it's huge. And that's why I really wanted to, be a part of celebrating it. I mean, that's the reason why. So I'd like to see them do more things for themselves. Again, I think celebrating their marriage is big because we never have. Their marriage was small, and that's all I really know about it because I wasn't there. But I just know it wasn't a lot. And I'd like to see them do more things, really about them. They've worked. My dad has worked. My mom has worked. They both have retired from state government. They still work. Both of them fully self-employed, still literally getting dressed and leaving the house every day. I'd like to see them do more things together and to literally look back and look at what they've done in retrospect. So I hope to see them do more things like that in the future. One thing that we do, which I think you've gotten a chance to see a little bit about today, obviously, which is the gathering on Sundays. And I can't really remember when it started, but it's been going a long time. And I was actually thinking about that today, wow, who's going to keep this going? One day we're going to have to figure that out. Hopefully it's not for a long time, but I love that we gather on Sundays. And COVID kind of slowed it down for a little while, so it's really just kind of getting back where everyone comes by. But we gather on Sundays for a meal. Another thing that we do that I didn't really learn that other people didn't do until I, left the house and got to meet other people and other families, which is birthdays. Everybody's birthday is celebrated. When I say celebrate, I mean we gather, we sing, we exchange gifts, you give a speech, and we cheer for you. And I'm not, I'm not just a cheer. I'm talking about we chant, we Nina, Nina, and it sounds silly, but it's so important because how many times can you really think of a room full of people cheering for you? I know that it's linked to my confidence. And when you think about the people in our family, most of us have a lot of confidence. And I think it goes to just those small types of things. We celebrate each other. When I say babies, all the way, down, we gather. And we have so many birthdays. God has just blessed our family. During September and October, within a span of about 4 days, it's 4 birthdays. My daughter and my dad share a birthday, and my brother and his son's birthday are 4 days apart. So we celebrated all of their birthdays in one day. 4 birthdays, which means we sang 4 different times and cheered 4 different times and exchanged gifts and listened to speeches. We were exhausted by the time it was over, but it was still amazing. Nobody gets shortchanged, and no one wants to get shortchanged. You understand me? If you skip somebody's birthday and say, oh no, your birthday is with it could be a problem. So it's valued. It's a really big deal. And one time, and this is how I learned this, I decided I wanted to be in Monroe on my birthday. I can't remember why, but I was staying at my cousin's, and I cried. No one cheered for me that day. You understand? There was no cake. All right. It was none of that. And it mattered because I was talking to my mom on the phone crying, right, about how my birthday I wasn't being celebrated on my birthday. And they literally drove to Monroe, my sister and my mom, to get me. I think I went back with them. So, birthdays are important. We celebrate each other, and I think it's directly linked to who we feel like we are in the world, what we deserve, our confidence. I mean, you wouldn't think that, but I think it's huge. Well, my dad's definitely a griller. He likes meat, even though it's probably not the best for him, red meat. But he likes to grill. My mom, I don't really think she has a preference. She just kind of eats what's presented. She's going to try it out, and she's going to eat a little of it, and that's it. I mean, the only thing I can tell you she don't really do too much is other people's cooking. She going to eat a little bit, and she's gonna have her own little opinion about it. But yeah, most of that, I don't think she really has a major food or whatever. I think the only thing I would add though about the holidays is that we went to Monroe. So growing up, holidays was a big deal because again, family was just so important. But both of my parents being from Monroe, but we lived here. We was on the road, so we was driving to Monroe, and that's what the holidays were. We had to go to my grandmother's house, my dad's side, and eat, and then not eat too much because we had to go to Mama Sadie's house and eat again, and you could not tell her that you were full. So those were the holidays. We had to go to both our grandparents' house, and we would choose sometimes who wants to spend the night at grandmama's house, who wants to spend the night at Mama Sadie's house, and most of us would stay with our moms at Mama Sadie's. But we were always on the road. But that's what we did. We were gathering, and I think that's a part of why we gather here now because that's just something that my dad did. We gather for special occasions. So I'm gonna go ahead and say probably my dad because I've seen my mom dance, and she's a little rough around the edges with the line dancing. So yeah, I think my dad was probably like the cooler. He has the pictures with the shades and the suits. So I would probably say he was the going out guy and probably could do a better little swing out than my mom could. My dad, I'm gonna do that again. My mom is not real outdoorsy. Yeah, no, my dad will probably be grilling some strange animal. He has a lot of confidence in himself, so I no doubt in my mind that he would find a way. I mean, he's just that type of person. He improvises. It's a nice way to put it. But my mom, I couldn't imagine. So, I would say that my mom may not like this, but so I probably my dad. I'm probably gonna go with my dad just because he is always in a suit. He always is dressed professionally because of what he has to do. My mom has always been a preacher's wife, so she has nice suits and things like that. But she's conservative. My mom still won't wear pants to church. So she still wears stockings every day. So for me, yeah, I'm not doing that. But so she's real conservative. She's not gonna show too much skin. She's gonna be fully covered. Most of her clothes are a size too large. Yeah, that's it. Oh, and nothing else to say about that. She probably won't hear that. So again, my dad cooks, but he does experiment, and sometimes it don't work out. My mom usually is on point, so they kind of tag team. My dad is on the grill, my mom's in the kitchen, right? So she does the sides, he does the grill, and it normally works out. So my mom is a strong cook. She learned how to cook from her mom. Mama Sadie was a strong cook, so she definitely can cook. So I don't want to say that she can't or that he can. But I know my dad, whatever he can cook, that's kind of recent. I would say probably over the last 20 years or so, just being in the kitchen more. But my mom has always, breakfast and dinner and feeding all 5 of us. So you can't just not be good at that when you got a house full of people. Definitely my dad. I mean, if you get him to talk about it, some things he might say. I don't know how much he will say, but I definitely have heard stories, and sometimes he talks about who he was before the Lord came into his life. Sometimes he would tell us at church, but yeah, my dad was a fighter. He would get into fights with people and fight. I mean, I know him and his brothers fought, and I guess that prepared him for the streets. Who knows? But Yeah, definitely my dad. My mom was just even now today, she's still a girly girl. I don't even know if my mom ever had a fight. So I wasn't a fighter. So yeah, I wasn't at school fighting nobody. And even though I was not a small female, I've never been small. And I think that may have helped me because I wasn't small. But yeah, I don't like getting hit. So I didn't have that experience. Um, and I didn't, I've really never been in a position where I had to be backed up because I was just an ideal student. I can tell you though, similar to Leah's story, and my brother may talk about this, but when we were in high school, and this is how not in the loop I was, my brother got into a fight, a big fight, where it was more than one, kids fighting. And I think he ultimately ended up getting crowded, and he got hurt. He ended up having to get stitches in his head, and he was suspended from being in this fight. And, my dad at the time, gainfully employed at the Department of Education, and he appealed his suspension. And so we, the family, everybody, I know I had to put on a church dress, and Dawn had on some pretty nice clothes. We went to the meeting with the principal, everybody, and we sat there and we discussed what happened in that fight and how my brother was a victim and not an instigator, and how it was, of course, unfair or just a huge inequity to suspend someone who had never been in a fight ever, never had a disciplinary issue, had reasonable grades, and then all of a sudden suspended. I can tell you that suspension was overturned. And we sat there as a family when it happened. So definitely so. I would say I didn't trigger that type of, because I just didn't have those types of situations. But yeah, he defended. I think my dad is probably a natural, defender. Family is important to him. I think that he would equally say he's going to fight for his family in a suit or otherwise. This family has definitely taught me the importance of family. And, I kind of digress because I want that for my kids, but being a single mom, I feel like they won't get all the good that I got from just growing up, and not just a family, but a two-parent family. But family is just so important. Every adversity that I've ever had to deal with, my family dealt with it with me. And I know that I've gone through those things successfully because I had support. Have you ever met a person who didn't have anybody? I mean, it's interesting to me to meet people like that who don't have anybody on their team. And I know everybody have a family. We all were born into families. But I guess it doesn't always mean that they're actually with you. This family is with you. And the thing I really like to focus on, because, I like to say, we have an amazing family. I love my family. But it's not that we haven't had some issues. We done had some bad days. We have had bad days, like bad days. I don't know how else to put that, but a real, true bad day. But we've made it through those days, and we went through those days together, and I think that is just the best thing in the world. Well, I love the fact that my parents have been married for 50 years. From what I've seen from the last 43 of it, I know that marriage is not all, my dad would say a flowery bed of roses. I know that. I know that it's a partnership. I know that you have this person that's committed to go through life with you. And that's not always just fun in the sun. This is just, hey, all the things that are good about me and bad about me, that you're going to work with me with these things that I'm going through with life. So I've learned that. I don't know if I'm going to get to use it, but I've learned it. I'm sorry, I keep thinking about myself. But anyway, I can't help that because that's what I think about. Like, I feel like I've learned so much. Like, okay, so I understand this, but I guess I just have to teach my children. But anyway, so yeah, what I've learned from my parents is perseverance. What I've learned for them is partnership, good and bad. Um, One of the things I've seen my dad do over time, like I literally watched him, is patience. He'll walk away from things now that he used to not walk away from. If a conversation is going some kind of way and he already know it ain't finna get no better, he will walk away. And I've seen him do that. And I know that's growth because I've also seen him not do that. Yeah. So there is always someone now, I think, just kind of on the outside looking at the big picture. You know, do I need to win this argument or do I need to be able to sleep later? So I would say they're a team. I've never seen them, especially outside of the house. They're together, and so like I said, you know, growing up, we've seen the good and the bad, but I've never seen it outside of the doors. So church, which is where we spend most of our time. You know, before my dad was a minister, he was a deacon. So we still was at church. You know, my mom was always been a Sunday school teacher or Ursha. So we spent a lot of time out, you know, in those types of places together as a family. And we've always been together as a family. You know, it was never no, okay, I'm not sitting over here today. You know, it was never that. Whatever happened, it happened in this house.
And that might be
Yeah.
very similar to the strength as a couple.
Yeah. And really just talking about, you know, kind of what I just talked about with my dad, with their patience, with dealing with adversity. That's what they've grown. You know, all couples fight, you know, all couples argue. But I think they do it different now. I don't know if there's an age in there, maybe tired, I don't know. But it's just not like it was when we were growing up. And I think that just comes with wisdom, you know, and just being able to communicate better. I think they know each other so much now. You know, what's the point of arguing about it? You already know how this person feels. You already know how they're going to react. So I think that just comes with wisdom and time. I think the best thing about being married is having somebody on your team. I mean, I think it's important to just be able to share your life experiences with someone. I think people may take that for granted, but it's important. You know, when great things happen for you, who's the first person that you're going to call? When you get that big thing that you've been waiting for, you know, that person that you call that knows how much it means to you, that's when it's even bigger for you. You know, because there's someone else who knows that how important this is for you. I think that comes with marriage. I mean, I know a lot of people are not happily married, but I wouldn't say that about my parents. My parents' marriage is tried and tested and proven, and I think that they are here for each other, and that's it. Being married in 2022, first of all, a lot of people are not getting married. I don't think people see the value in getting married. A lot of women are choosing not to get married. You know, one of the richest women in the world, Oprah Winfrey, is choosing not to get married. Rihanna is not married. These are billionaires. So times have changed. But traditions are important. I believe that they are important. I think that marriage is more than a tradition. So I think it's definitely something that you have to believe in. That comes from your parents, you know. And me growing up with my parents, that's why I do still believe in it. even though I see all these other really empowered women and people out there choosing not to do it, I still believe in it. I still would do it. And that comes from my parents.
I like that. Cool. And the last question. All right, let's see. I have a big one. It's from the grandkids collection. All right, when you grow up, do you want to get married and have your own family like your mother and your father?
I did. I did. When I was growing up, I wanted 5 kids, like my parents. I wanted to get married. Okay, not the different fathers thing, but to get married to one man and have 5 kids. I wanted that. I wanted to emulate them, and so that's why I believe it's definitely important. You are shaped by how you grow up, and so I still see that as the standard. I wanted to do it because I saw my parents do it, and even now being 43, and having 2 children already. I mean, I think it would be harder for me because I'm 43, and I think getting married will be. I feel like I would have to kind of remake myself because I've been so used to doing it on my own. But because of my parents and because I still see them every day and every Sunday, I think being around them is what makes me not give up on the idea that I could still have what they have. Growth. I think in 50 years, you're not the same person that you were when you met, on the inside and out. So the fact that they've been willing or able, I'm going to say willing, to grow old together, to age together, you got to be willing to do that. With growing old comes vulnerabilities. They're both talking about what they can't remember and they can't see and they can't hear now. All the TVs are blasted all over the house. But they're doing that together. Nobody even knows. They don't know that their TV is that loud because they both can't hear. So I just think that as long as you're willing to grow, change with that person, that's what it is. And the good comes with that and the bad. So fortunately, my parents, they've been healthy. They look great. And I think that that's a blessing, and I just pray that I still look as good as my mom and my dad look when they're getting close to 70. She's going to be mad I said that. Okay. My mama not going to like that. I learned that marriage is important. I think that God wants people to be married. I think my dad always says that families are divine institutions. I believe that they are the basic unit of a community. And obviously families look different now than the traditional family. Families are still a unit. But I believe that marriage kind of seals that, kind of establishes it legally. It's not just, going before God. It has some long-term civil effects with the law, and rights and inheritance. I mean, it establishes a family unit, really, in a legal perspective. But what I've learned about marriage is I think it's important. I think it's to be respected. I think that it's honorable. I think that it's an extreme accomplishment to say that you have committed to being married to someone for any length of time, because you're saying you're giving of yourself. It's a selfless act to say, okay, I'm going to let go of what I want and consider what you want, and then come together and make a decision. And I think that I think that happens every day in marriage. So that's what I've learned about marriage. So I've been looking for pictures, and I have like three um, where they're actually kissing. Okay, so I didn't see a lot of that. I guess is my point. Growing up, I don't know. I don't know what they do now, but when we were kids, they did a pretty good job of not really doing all that kind of stuff in front of us. So I don't remember seeing a lot of it. I mean, it was really mostly, mom and dad. Mom is cooking or helping us get ready for school, and dad was washing the car, cutting the grass, watching TV. Okay. So definitely doing more things together. Um, Definitely enjoying themselves more. Probably going on some trips. One thing my dad did this year that I was completely shocked. I did not think that he would do it. Okay. My mom said she wanted to go to a football game. I think it was last year. Uh, yeah, it was last year. My mom said she wanted to go to the Bayou Classic. I did not think that he would go, but he did. I've never seen them do that, like in my years. All of us have graduated, right, from Southern. But my mom had some tickets that my niece got for him, and she wanted to go, and they went. They got a room, and they went. I mean, I didn't even go to Bayou Classic. I felt bad because my parents were there. I was not there. So, but yeah, doing more things together, just enjoying themselves. They've worked, and built a lot. And I think it's time for them to enjoy it more. And hopefully they will, starting with this. So, all right. My daddy, I love you with all my heart. I think you know that. And I just love our family. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it. I'm so grateful to be your third middle child. But I'm having a hard time finding the words. So I just really hope that tonight shows just a small part of how much this family means to me, how much you guys mean to me. And I just pray that we're able to have another 50 years celebrating and growing and accomplishing amazing things together. I love you. I hope that you have an amazing time tonight.